Hello, everyone. Welcome to Vinyasa Flow. I'm Dee, and it's good to have you today with me for practice. So let's begin in a seated position. And there are several ways to get comfortable. You could sit in a kneeling position, a low kneel. You can sit in the easy pose, knees crossed, one leg in front or on top. You can sit in butterfly pose. You could do wide angle if you'd like, keeping the knees bent as much or as little as you want. I like to draw your awareness to your sits bones next. And just let yourself feel that pressure underneath you, right under the sits bones, pressing into either your prop or your mat or the floor. Just feel that rebound. Begin to think of your spine as more lengthened. And just see how the body responds. Arms can hang by your side. Hands maybe somewhere on your legs, making yourself comfortable. Eyes can gently close as we draw ourselves into our inner world here. Notice the expansion happening in the chest, in the lungs, in the abdomen as the diaphragm moves. Each breath slower than the one before it, smoother. Paying attention to the texture of the breath. I want you to think of your breath as being in 3 different parts. And so as you inhale next, draw the breath deep into the belly, then feel it rise to the midsection as you continue to breathe in, and then feel it kind of tipping off near the collarbones, tops of the shoulders. Each exhale reverses that order. So we start at the top, move to the middle, and finally squeeze the abdomen as we release the last bit of air. Notice scanning the body, how it feels in different places. As you continue to set the rest of your life aside for this time, only focusing on the internal environment, how each pose feels in the body, not worrying about how we look or what others might be doing. Seeing if we can modify our practice, maybe in small ways, maybe in bigger ways, maybe substituting altogether. Take one more belly breath. And let your breathing go back to more of an ebb and flow, releasing your control. Trying to keep our thoughts on our breathing or on our scanning, paying attention to how different parts of the body feel. And we'll begin to move now. First, we'll just begin to move the pads of the toes and the fingers. It's very small movement. Bring the movement more into the length of the fingers and the toes, the bases of these digits. And then into the feet, into the hands. Let's keeping our eyes closed. Exhale our chin towards our chest, extending the cervical spine, but keeping shoulders right above hips, shoulder blades back on the back of the rib cage. We can straighten our knees if they were bent, or bend our knees if they were straightened. Let's move right into the 7 movements of the spine. Let's do these through sun breaths today, letting our arms really reach as we move our hands up and down. So as you're ready to inhale, we'll lift both arms up overhead, reaching the fingertips towards the sky. As we exhale, we'll lower our hands towards our sides. Let's take 3 or 4 of these sun breaths, moving with your body's breath at your pace. And notice how you're extending your spine as you lift your hands above your head and reach your fingers as if you were trying to grab for something, just barely out of reach. This is our spinal extension. And the next time your arms are down by your side, you can go ahead and leave them there. Let's begin to round our spine by drawing our hands forward, perhaps lifting them up to shoulder height and tucking the chin towards the chest, rounding out the spine. As we begin to shift, we'll inhale, lifting our chin, bringing our pelvis to neutral, and drawing the hands back behind us, opening the chest, arching the back. Good. Lifting the chin, perhaps slightly. And then we'll keep moving with our breath in these seated cat-cows. Let's begin to rotate the wrists, facing the palms toward each other as we draw them forward, and then face them back behind us as we release our hands, arch our backs. And the next time your arms are forward, go ahead and bring your body to neutral, your pelvis rather, and your hands down by your side. So we've moved the spine in 3 different ways. Let's do the last 4. With a lateral stretch, we'll inhale, the arms come up overhead, palms face each other. Let's exhale, release the left hand down by your side and lean over towards the left, reaching that right hand up and over. Good. Let an inhale bring you back to center. And an exhale will release the right arm down by your side. Next breath in lifts the left hand. Or both. And then as we exhale, we'll lean over, drop the right hand. Keep that left shoulder lifted and stacked on top of the right. Inhale to come back up. Exhale to release. And let's shift back and forth a few more times. Noticing the breath in the side body as we breathe in and out and stretch from left to right. One more on each side. And then we'll sit up nice and tall with our arms down by our sides. Let's come into a twist by extending our feet forward. And let's cross one leg over the other, bringing the ankle to just the top of the knee. Pressing through the extended leg heel. Let's lengthen that leg as we press into both sits bones evenly. We'll turn towards the bent knee, perhaps interlacing the fingers, and wrapping it around the knee. Inhale to really stretch the spine. Exhale. We can use our hands to help us twist. Maybe just moving a centimeter or two. Pressing into your sits bones, pressing into the extended leg heel. And letting your body adjust to this twist. One more breath in. And as we exhale, let's release, bringing our chest back to the center and releasing whichever knee you bent. We'll bend through the opposite knee. Excuse me. Once more, we're sitting up really tall. The extended leg is being flexed. That foot, toes drawn towards the shin. Sitting up nice and tall, even on both sits bones. We'll turn our chest the opposite way, interlace the fingers, kind of wrap them around the kneecap. And then we'll play with where we want to be in this twist. So we want to inhale, lengthening the spine, crown moves towards the ceiling. Exhale, we'll turn the chest slightly, maybe a couple of centimeters. Keeping the head extended, the spine extended. The legs are active, arms are active. We'll let the next exhale release the chest. It'll come back over the center. Hands can come forward. We'll straighten that knee. And let's tap the backs of the knees towards the floor, bending and straightening. Pointing and flexing the feet, wiggling the toes, maybe drawing some circles opposite of each other or letting them move the same direction. And from here, let's come into either easy pose with the legs stacked on top of each other, or you can leave one foot slightly ahead of the opposite foot. We'll sit up nice and tall on our sits bones. Whichever foot is on top or forward, we're going to swoop the opposite arm under and come into either a hug with our hands holding our shoulders, or we'll come into eagle arms. Okay? Whichever is more comfortable for you. Another option is bringing the elbows together and the palms together. Okay? From here, we'll begin to slowly lower our elbows towards our navel. We'll begin to round our spine, drop our chin towards our chest. Kind of drawing the elbows towards the navel, drawing the backs of the arms right over the chest. On the next inhale, we'll begin to straighten up, coming into neutral, and then finally arching the back slightly, lifting the elbows slightly, lifting the chin, letting your gaze come to where the ceiling meets the wall. And we'll keep moving slowly in these eagle arms. Okay. One more. Rounding out the spine, arching, lifting, opening the chest. And then we'll come back to neutral, release the hands, and let's switch up through the legs. Sitting up nice and tall once again. Opposite arm goes underneath, hands go either to the shoulder, palms and elbows together, or opposite elbows swooped under. There we go. And again, we'll come into our cat-cows, elbows draw towards the navel, the body curls, and then elbows lift away from the navel, really led by the tips of the fingers. Gaze comes towards the top of the wall. We'll move very slowly through these eagle, cat, cows. One more of each. And then we'll let our spine and pelvis come to neutral, unwind or release the hands. And then let's come up into table. Excuse me. Setting up your tabletop, come into your cat-cows as you're ready. Wrists a little wider than shoulders, arching and rounding the spine, letting the breath move however it's most comfortable. Exhaling, perhaps rounding or perhaps arching. And then we'll bring the spine to neutral. Let's lean into the left side to be able to lift the right knee, and we'll draw the knee towards our nose, rounding out the spine. On the next inhale, let your foot, the right foot, shoot back behind you and lift it as high as you're able off of the ground. And let your body flow through this hip flexion and extension, moving as slowly as you're able. Controlled movements, and again, really emphasizing the rounding and arching of the back. We'll exhale and release that right knee, switching sides, leaning to the right. We pick up the left knee, and we'll establish that same slow flow, rounding out the spine as we draw knee to nose, extending that leg back behind, lifting the head. Excuse me, opening the chest. Last one. And then releasing that knee. Let's come into child's pose for a breath or two. Wide knee or knees together, arms up overhead, releasing the chest and head towards the floor. Heels back behind you, hips released as much as they can. Not worrying about how high or low they are off the ground. Let's inhale, coming back up into our table. And we'll step the left foot forward, coming into a low lunge. You can use your blocks if you'd like. Letting yourself use them as an extension of your arms, and really finding the height for the torso. Putting your pelvis in neutral position. The chest is somewhat forward. Arms are being supported by the ground or the blocks. And you're pressing into the four corners of the forward foot. Let's inhale to lift up away from that leg, placing both hands on the thigh. We can stay here in our low lunge, or we can bring our hands to our heart. And on the next exhale, we'll lean forward and draw that right elbow across the left knee, coming into a revolving lunge here. But the next exhale, release the chest and hands come forward. We can float our hands down to the mat or to the blocks, and we'll pull that left foot back and exchange the right foot. Coming into a low lunge, left foot drawn back behind, finding height in this position, pressing down through that forward foot, propping yourself up on the mat or on the blocks. Let the next inhale lift your upper body so you can place the hands to steady yourself on the thigh. You keep the hands here or bring your hands to your heart Lean forward, creating length through the crown of the head, and then revolve towards that bent knee, keeping your hands at the center of your chest, lifting and extending from that bent knee all the way through the crown of the head. Let the next exhale release the hands down to the mat or to the floor, coming back into a tabletop position. We'll come up to almost standing here by drawing the left foot forward again, tucking the back toes under and lifting that back knee up. So we're in the same position, but we're in a high lunge. If you'd rather float that knee down and repeat the lower lunge, you're more stable that way, I invite you to do that. If you'd like to keep the back knee lifted, you can do that too. Again, we'll inhale, drawing away from the thigh, hands come, palms down, right in front of you. We'll exhale to lean forward, really pressing on the ball of that back foot, bringing the hands to the heart, and we'll twist, we'll revolve. We'll exhale, release the hands, and let's change the feet. You can drop the back knee, draw that left foot forward, backwards, come onto that knee, curl under that left foot, lift the left knee off the ground, and let an inhale bring us up away from the thigh in a high lunge or low lunge on the opposite side. Hands can stay on the thigh, or you can inhale the hands to the heart, lean the upper body forward, and come into that revolve twist, drawing left elbow to right knee. We'll exhale, hands come down onto the floor or onto the blocks. We'll rotate our chest forward. We'll step that left foot up to meet the right, and we'll walk ourselves to the top of the mat. An inhale brings us up to standing, arms come up overhead, hands come together, and an exhale, hands are at the heart. Take a breath or two here. Standing in your mountain, hands at your heart. Just making sure you're steady on your feet. Let's move through a couple of sun salutations. We'll inhale, our arms come up overhead. Exhale, nose dive forward fold, elbows and knees bend. Upper body releases towards the floor. Inhale, come up halfway. Extend your spine long, parallel to the ground. Exhale, release your hands, plant your palms, step your left foot back. Lower the leg if you need to, coming into a higher low lunge. Hands come to the thighs. The next inhale lifts one or both arms towards the ceiling, or you can keep your hands on your hips. Let the next exhale float the hands down. We plant the palms and step the right foot back, coming into plank. Take a breath here in plank. Inhale, press on your toes. Exhale, lower your body towards the floor. Inhale, come up into cobra. Hands stay where they were, under shoulders. Elbows are tucked in. Exhale, releasing upper body to the floor, tucking the toes under, coming up through downward facing dog. Inhale, step the left foot forward, then the right foot forward. Take another inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, release into the forward fold. Inhale, lift the arms up overhead, hands come together. Exhale, thumbs come down to heart. Inhale, arms come up overhead, sun breath. Exhale, nose dive, forward fold. Inhale, come up halfway, hands to thighs or shins. Exhale, plant the palms, step the right foot back. Low lunge or high lunge. Inhale, lifting the chest away from the thigh. If Keep the hands at the waist, or inhale, one or both arms up. Reaching for the stars. Exhale, release the hands, plant the palms, come up off that back leg, and step the left foot back into plank. Inhale, head comes forward. Exhale, lower ourselves onto the mat. Inhale up to cobra. Exhale, release. Pointing the toes, tuck them under. Come up through downward facing dog. Step the right foot forward. Step the left foot forward. Walking to the top of your mat. Inhale your arms up overhead. Exhale your hands to your heart. Let's find ourselves in the middle of our mat, facing our screen. And let's come into eagle legs and arms. I'm going to take both blocks and just set them right next to each foot. And then come back to a standing position. Feet are hip distance apart. Decide which side to start on. And we'll cross one foot and leg over the other, bringing the toes and the ball of the foot onto the block, keeping the heel lifted. We'll sink on that standing leg or stay lifted. We can keep a micro bend in the standing leg knee. Notice which leg's on top. Inhale, arms come out wide to the side. As you exhale, we'll cross the arms, opposite elbow on top from the legs, and then bring your hands to your shoulders, or come to eagle arms. Wrap your hands as much as you'd like. And we'll inhale, lifting the fingertips towards the ceiling. Holding here for a breath or two. And then exhaling, lowering the elbows towards the navel, uncrossing both arms and legs and shaking everything out. Let's switch sides after coming to mountain. Finding our sturdy legs. And then crossing opposite foot over the other, deciding how our knee can handle this shape best on the standing leg. Inhaling, arms out wide. Exhaling, opposite elbow on top. Folding your arms in. Hugging or coming to eagle arms, whatever is comfortable for you. Inhaling, lifts, elbows lift, fingertips reach, shoulders stretch. Stay here for 3 breaths, and then let your elbows release. Let your limbs unwind and shake everything out. Next, we'll come into a balance pose. I like to do tree. So coming from our mountain shape, pressing all 4 corners of both feet into the floor. We'll start first by bending a knee. We bend the knee first to release the femur from the hip bone. Now we'll externally rotate. Draw that knee out. We'll even draw the knee towards the small toes over here. So we're even getting at the adductor muscles. So we'll draw the heel in, and we can toe tap here. Hands can be wherever they're comfortable, helping you stay centered, balanced. If you feel like you can go for a prolonged time with just the standing leg in contact with the floor, find your favorite position or challenge yourself. Maybe lifting your arms, letting your branches grow. Using your drishti to focus, your eyes. And then relaxing, arms come down by your sides if they were lifted. And we can step back onto the lifted foot, maybe sway the hips from side to side. Good. Let's come back to our mountain. Let's bend the opposite knee, releasing that femur. Then moving the knee out to the side, drawing it back behind us. Perhaps moving the heel in towards the ankle. Playing with that toe tapping. Testing the waters, if you will. Finding ways to become more stable on this standing leg foot. And then taking a risk or not. Getting the hands centered. We're lifting them. One or both arms. Whatever is in your practice, your normal daily movement. Letting the next exhale lower the arms. Bring that knee back in. Step onto that lifted leg. Shake out the hips, shake out the feet, step from side to side. All right. Nice. Let's come back to the top of the mat. From the top of the mat, from our mountain position, we'll step our left foot back. We want to step it far enough back that we have quite a bit of space between front and back leg. We're going to bend the front knee, keeping it right on top of the heel and the ankle. We'll even draw that knee towards the smaller toes. We want the back leg to be extended. The foot is 90 degrees different than the front. We're in our warrior two legs. Active feet pressing into the floor so that all the muscles of the legs and the sits bones and pelvis are all activated. We'll inhale, the arms come up to parallel. We can turn our head to look over those middle fingers in our warrior, taking 3 breaths. Nice and strong. On the end of the 3rd breath, we'll exhale, lowering that back hand. We'll inhale, flipping the front palm and begin to reach all the way up towards the stars. We'll lean our upper body back as we lift this forward hand into the air. Let the next exhale rotate the body back forward, stacking shoulders over hips. But then we'll keep going, and we want to lay this forearm on our front thigh with our back hand and arm draped right alongside our body. We can stay here, or we can inhale that arm up and over, up towards the ceiling, or over towards the opposite side of the room. Maybe bicep right by the ear. At this point, we can straighten the knee. We want to lift the torso a little bit to come into our triangle. Pressing down through both feet, active legs, still active arms. We'll rotate, inhaling, back arm goes down, front arm lifts into reverse triangle. We'll let the next exhale release this hand. We're going to change the opposite foot and point it same way as that back foot, and we'll draw our legs and feet together. And let's come to the bottom of our mat. Standing once again in mountain. This time we step the right foot back. We're turning the toes 90 degrees as we do that. We're scooching our body, finding that perfect stable shape for our body, making yoga our own. We'll inhale, bringing the arms up parallel to the ground. And we'll hold this for 3 breaths. Active legs, active torso, active arms. Even lifting the crown of the head towards the stars. We'll come into reverse warrior from this warrior 2, exhaling back arm down, inhaling front palm lifts, arm lifts as we reach towards the ceiling. Once again, exhale to release. We bend down through the elbow. We go from leaning back to leaning forward, and we can draw that back arm wherever it's comfortable. Holding the pose here in this extended side angle. Let's now straighten the knee, stack the hands and arms, coming into triangle. Active feet and legs, inhaling, rotating arms into reverse triangle, reaching towards the stars. We'll exhale, lifted hand lowers. We'll turn the opposite foot this time forward, walk our feet together, and shake out our legs. Let's come to the top of our mat. And if you have a more comfortable way of coming down to table, please do that. If you don't want to take a sun breath with a nose dive forward fold, please do what works for your body. We'll inhale. Exhale, we'll release ourselves to the floor. We'll plant our hands, step both feet back to come into plank. Taking a couple breaths here. Breathing. Hips lower than shoulders, lower than the waist. We could be in half plank. Only difference is knees have floated to the floor. There's still a lot of strength building going on in the core muscles here, a little bit in the arms. Let's make our way to the floor by pressing on the toes, drawing forward before we exhale and release all the way to the floor. Let's stack our palms, hands down. Good. We're going to stack some movements to each other. The first one with the left palm on top is we're going to inhale. At the end, towards the end of the inhale, we're going to lift our head over the right shoulder and look back behind us. As we exhale, we'll lower our forehead to that palm. Let's do this 2 more times. Inhaling to lift the head and look back. Exhaling to release. Let's now keep the head where it is and inhale the right elbow up away from the floor. So we'll inhale, just the right elbow lifts. Exhale, right elbow lowers. Inhale, right elbow lifts. Exhale, it lowers. One more at your own pace. Now we'll add those 2 movements together. So we'll inhale, lift our head. Keep the right hand, let's switch where the palms are. Keep the right hand attached to the cheek as we turn our face to the right. And we'll inhale, lifting the arm and the head. Exhale to release. Inhale, lift the arm and the head. Exhale to release. One more. Good. Now let's keep the head where it is, and we're going to move just the foot. We'll bend the knee, and we're going to draw that foot all the way towards the hip. We'll let the right hand come out to the side and back behind us. to find our half bow. Let your right hand hold on to either the pant leg, the foot, the leg, anywhere. And we can inhale, lifting the knee off the floor. Letting ourselves feel the stretch of the foot moving away from the hand, but the hand holding on to the foot. Exhale and release your half bow and bring your forehead back down on the stacked palms. We'll switch to the left side. We'll inhale, lifting just the head, looking over the left shoulder. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift your head, look over the left shoulder. Exhale, release. One more at your pace. It's time to keep the head where it is. Inhale, we lift just the left elbow off the floor. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift the left elbow. One more, inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Let's now turn our cheek to the left hand on palm on top. As we inhale, we'll press down on the right hand. Lift the elbow, the forearm, the hand, the head. Exhale, release. Inhale to lift. And we'll take 3 of these breaths, releasing, bringing the head back to center. This time we bend the left knee. Bring the left foot towards the hips. Reach that left hand around towards the back. Grab a pant leg, ankle, foot, and come into half bow on this side. Holding for a breath, perhaps lifting the left knee. Exhaling, we lower the body down, straighten that left foot, knee. Release the head to the hands. With the next inhale, draw your hands underneath your shoulders, tuck your elbows in, curl under your toes, and lift up back into plank or half plank. Take a breath or two here. If you're in plank, let your knees float down on your next exhale. Bend through your hips to bring your hips up over your knees. Then exhale, lowering your upper body, keeping your hips right above the knees. Widen your arms and hands. Turn your underarms towards the floor. Opening the chest. Take 3 breaths here in puppy dog. Let your next inhale lift you up to table. And we'll come into a seated position. Feet and legs out in front of us, bent at the knees. Sitting up on both sits bones, shoulders stacked on top of hips, hands holding on to the fronts of the shins. Let's begin to now lean back. Find that little shelf that you can press into the floor. We'll move our hand position. The next inhale lifts one or both feet into either half boat or boat. If you'd like to let go of your legs, you can reach your arms either parallel to the floor or diagonal. Press through both heels. Palms face in towards one another, and then slowly lower yourself as slowly as you can down towards the floor. Straightening your arms, straightening your legs, releasing your spine onto the floor. And we're going to take 3 breaths here, letting the body settle, letting abdomen and spine relax and release. On your next inhale, bend up through both knees, placing each foot on the floor, heels several inches away from the hips. You want to be able to lift the hips and have your knees be over your ankles or heels. So we'll draw our arms alongside our body, palms facing down. We'll press on the four corners of the feet and the hands and lower arms and peel the hips up off the mat. Shoulders pressing into the floor, back of the head pressing into the floor, feet pressing into the floor. 3 breaths here. And we'll let the next exhale lower the hips, releasing the spine and the hips all as one instead of rounding the spine. And then again, taking several breaths here, just letting the spine lie flat on the floor. We'll repeat that same movement as you're ready. Inhaling to lift the hips, pressing on hands, feet, shoulders, and head. Hips floating in between the shoulders and the knees. Knees not bowing out. Staying parallel and in line with the feet and the hips. Exhaling as you're ready to release, releasing as all one motion. And let's draw the knees in towards the chest. Wrap the arms around the legs. Inhale, picking the head, neck, and chest up off the mat, or the backs of the shoulders anyway. Curling into a little seed pose, letting the exhale release the head. The next exhale can release the feet. We'll set ourselves back up for our final bridge. Inhaling to press down and lift up. Let's bring the hands underneath the hips, interlace the fingers, and walk the shoulders underneath the body. Drawing the backs of the hands towards the heels. Exhaling to release the hips. Once again, we'll draw both knees in, wrapping the arms around the legs, and we can rock here from side to side. Left to right. Next time you're centered, let's release the knees. Feet can float down to the mat. With your feet hip distance apart, we'll inhale our arms out wide like wings. Let the next exhale draw both knees to one side. Windshield wipers. Inhale to lift. Exhale to lower to the opposite side. Let's keep going back and forth at your own pace. Moving with the breath. Keeping it slow. We're not in any hurry. And the next time your knees are back at the center, we'll draw our arms down by our side. And let's straighten both legs. We'll bend up just through the right knee, bringing the right foot on top of the left thigh. And we'll reach our left hand up towards the outside of that right knee. Let's roll over to the left side. Right hip lifts off the mat. We'll stretch our right arm out to the side, palm down. And let's turn our chin to look to the right. in this one-legged twist. Take a few breaths here. Next time you inhale, we'll lift the chin back to center. You can roll back onto that right hip, lifting that right knee up, straightening that leg. And we'll switch to the opposite side. We lift the left foot, bend through that knee, bring the bottom of the left foot to the top of the right thigh. Right hand goes to the outside of the left knee. We'll roll over onto our right side. Left knee lifts this time. We'll stretch the left hand and arm out, shoulder height, palm down. And we'll rotate our chin towards that left shoulder. Taking 3 breaths in this opposite side of our one-legged twist. We'll let the next inhale lift the chin back to center. Rotate back onto that left hip, straighten that left foot. And let's take a full body stretch, waiting for the next inhale to draw the hands up and back. And then stretching both arms and both legs as far away from the shoulders and hips as possible. Taking a few breaths in this shape, stretched out along the floor, pointing and flexing the feet, reaching the fingertips back behind you. And let's let both hands and feet walk themselves over to the left side of the mat. Let's bring the right foot and hand on top of the left as we shape ourselves into this banana shape, banana asana. Let the next inhale let you walk your hands and feet back to your center. Stay here for a breath. And then walk hands and feet to the opposite side. This time, left foot and hand goes on top. On the next exhale, release the left hand and foot. Walk your limbs back to the center and take a breath or two here. We'll let the next inhale lift the hands towards the stars. Exhale releases them by our side. And let's settle into our Shavasana shape. Perhaps coming into constructed resting pose, knees bent, feet wide, kneecaps resting on one another, arms somewhere at your side, palms up or palms down. Back of the neck extended, pressing the head into the floor. Or straightening both legs, turning the toes out towards the side edges, relaxing the legs. Internally scanning the body once again. Sending the breath to any areas of tenderness, softening the face, the forehead, the jaw, the eyes, cheeks. Letting the back side of the body release towards the earth. Letting the front side of the body release to the back. Becoming aware of your breath. Aware of the breath moving through the body. And coming back to this awareness as the mind wanders. Slowly, let's begin to move, rocking the head from left to right. Letting the nose lead the head from side to side. Next time your head is back in the middle, we'll roll over onto one side. And we'll come up into a seated position once again. Sitting up nice and tall, legs in whatever comfortable position you'd like. Let's take 3 sun breaths, lifting the arms up overhead on the next inhale, exhaling hands to the heart, and then down by our sides before we begin the next inhale. And on the third sun breath, we'll keep our hands at our heart at the end of the next exhale. Closing down the eyes, releasing the chin towards the chest as we bow to the goddess inside of every one of us. The light in me honors the light inside of you. Let the next inhale lift your chin, flutter open your eyes slowly, and thank you all so much for joining me in this yoga practice, this Vinyasa Flow. Stretch and I hope to see you next week. Take care.